Good evening everyone, thank you for joining me on my very first video here on Mrs M's baking show. We're starting off with part one of our savoury Halloween treats and we're doing cheesy monster and witch's fingers. I'm first going to start off by showing you the ingredients. Like I said before, don't worry about scribbling the whole recipe down, everything will be in the description afterwards for you. Right, I'm sure as a baker and as you well know, before you start any baking, the first thing you have to do is give your hands a really good wash with nice warm soapy water, which obviously I've done. I'm all clean and I'm all ready to go. So let's get started. Right guys, so here we have all our ingredients for our cheesy monster and witch's fingers. So we start off with 50 grams of grated cheese. Now I've just used a mature cheddar cheese. You can use Parmesan, anything you fancy, and I've also put a little bit extra in there just for decoration. We've got just bog standard puff pastry. Now normally I would like to give puff pastry a go, but being a mum of four, don't really have the time, so packet stuff is fantastic. We've got some pumpkin seeds here just for decoration, as well as sesame seeds. We've also got a beaten egg in there just to go over the top, as well as flour just to dust down on our surface for when we're rolling everything out. I've also got a baking sheet here ready to go with baking parchment on to stick all our cheesy fingers on afterwards. Right, let's get started. First off, what we're going to do is we're going to get our puff pastry and we are going to give it a roll out. So let's lightly flour the surface, obviously making sure first that your surface is clean. We give it a good spray of anti-bac, so we should be absolutely fine. Right, then from there we'll take our pastry, obviously opening the packet first, and give it a good roll out. Now I advise when you do this also to give your good old trusty rolling pin a bit of flour too. I've got mine here, look, ready and raring to go. So give that a bit of a flour just so the puff pastry doesn't stick to it. So there we go, give that a go as well. Right, then we shall roll it out. Obviously you need to put a fair amount of force in, but I'd advise keep turning it as well in the flour just to make sure that it doesn't all stick. So just remember, like I said, keep moving it round in the flour just to make sure it definitely doesn't stick. Right, when you're happy and you've made yourself, I'd say a decent square, maybe a bit of a rectangle, depending on how big your puff pastry is, then what we are going to do is we are going to sprinkle our cheddar cheese into the middle. Remember to save some for decoration though. So we're going to spread it over one half of the puff pastry. Then we are going to fold the other half over, give it a little press. Then we're going to roll it out again. This time making a slightly longer rectangle. Again, keep moving it around in the flour. Just giving it a really firm push to make sure that the cheese all gets squashed in between. Okay, now as we're doing fingers, the best thing to do is to cut it widthways instead of lengthways. So get yourself a nice sharp knife. I've got mine here. And we are cutting strips, probably about 1 centimetre thick, cutting all the way through the pastry. Now again, obviously depending on how much you have rolled your pastry will depend on how many fingers you get, but just keep cutting 1 centimetre all the way along. Again, don't worry if it's not exactly 1 centimetre, if some are bigger, thicker than the others, really doesn't matter because they're, well, monster and witch's fingers. No one's really going to come out with a ruler and measure, are they? So again, keep cutting. We'll keep going until we've gone all the way to the edge of the pastry. Just be careful, obviously, not to chop your fingers, because we'd rather not have any real blood on our pastry tonight. Thank you very much. Right, so when you've done that and you've got them all laid out, what we're going to do is just twist them a little bit. Give them a little twist, a little push. This part, totally really up to you, however you really want your fingers to look. But now is the time when we are going to get our baking tray ready and start arranging them on our baking tray. So I'll move the baking tray this way so you can see a little, but we're just twisting and pushing and making them look a bit like stubby fingers. Okay, however you really want to do it, totally up to you. I'm just doing it quick to show you. So we're twisting, you can double them over, you can make really fat fingers, however you want. Okay, and then just arrange them onto your baking tray. I'm going to double mine over, I think, and make really chubby monster fingers, giving them a little twist as you go. Like they say, you never see a thin baker, do you? So there we go, and you just keep going and going and going until you've rolled and twisted all your pastry up and made your fingers like that. Just arrange them onto your baking tray. These make a really, really good little starter or a good little nibbler at any party, whether it be an adult or a child's party. Everybody seems to really enjoy them. And also, you don't necessarily have to do them just for Halloween. You can use them just for a normal everyday party. Obviously decorate them in a different way, but they do go down really well. My kids seem to really like them. Right, so there we go. I've got a few to show you. There we go, all ready to go. So I'll leave these ones to one side and we'll carry on with those ones later. Right, so now what we have to do is we get our egg wash, our beaten egg, which I showed you earlier, and we simply brush it over the top of our fingers, making sure you have a really good coat over the top of all of them. Now, one thing I did forget to do, and also did forget to tell you, was before you get started with all of this, you need to preheat your oven. Now for this recipe, we need the oven on 220 degrees centigrade. So that's now a whirring, as you can probably hear, all ready to go. So once you've done your beaten egg all over the top, it's now time to sort of decorate. So I'm going to stick some cheese on the top of mine. I'm also going to put some sesame seeds. I might stick a pumpkin seed in there for one of the nails. But again, this is purely decoration, so you can do this however you want to. If you want to get the kids involved, let them decorate some. It's a fantastic way to get them into cooking. It's one thing I love to do with my kids is cook. So here we go, just sprinkle the cheese on the top, and then I'm going to sprinkle some of my sesame seeds on, just for a bit more decoration. If you need to put a bit more egg wash on, you can, just to make obviously the sesame seeds and things stick. There we go. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pumpkin seeds as the nails. So I'm going to stick a nail in the top of my finger. So one like that. But again, this is purely decoration, so you can do this however you wish. I'm sure the kids or whoever it is you're giving these to will think they're fantastic anyway. So there we go, just stick your decoration on the top. And, oh, last two. Nearly missed those ones, look. There we go, maybe a last little sprinkling more of sesame seeds, because I am a fan of sesame seeds. Anyway, to get a bit of crunch in there as well. Always nice. Right, so there we go. That's our finished products, all ready to go in the oven. Now you stick these in the oven for probably 12 to 15 minutes. I would say check them after 10 minutes, depending on your oven, but everybody knows their own ovens. Some work better than others, some work not so good. Mine I'm going to check after about 10 minutes to see how we're going. Hi guys, so after 15 minutes in my oven, here are my finished cheesy monster fingers. You can see the nails, look, with the pumpkin seeds. This one's a little bit longer, got a few more sesame seeds on this one. Looking good. Like I said, don't worry if they're not all the same size and length, it doesn't matter. The kids are going to eat them anyway and are going to love them. Thank you ever so much for joining me. I've had so much fun doing this one. Please check in later on for part 2, which is our stuffed witches hats. I look forward to doing that one too. See you all later. Bye.